Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. The second guest of the day is the host of the show on Hard Hits called What's Brewin'? And it's the one, the only, George Brew. How are you doing on this fine Thursday afternoon?
Good, Madison. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Alrighty, so the Bracket of Glory, I just had our buddy Dan Wheeler on to do the Unforgettable region. Now we'll do the Excitement region with you. So I sent you the round of 64 matches, and the reason why I didn't send you the round of 32 Sweet 16 Elite 8, as I said to you in a text, is because you're supposed to guess which thing or which event excited me more. So let's get right to the Excitement region. And by the way, you have no play-in matches. Meanwhile, Dan had one in his. So let's just go to right to the round of 64. Yeah, so you get to avoid a play-in match. And unfortunately, somebody that comes on tomorrow will have two of them.
I would have done the play-in matches. Those are easy.
Yeah, those are easy. Round of 64. The 1 seed is the 2009 Yankees winning the World Series. 16 seed Mika Zibanejad scores 5 goals in a game, which our buddy Derek was at that game.
Yeah, I think anytime you win a championship, obviously that's why it's the 1 seed. I can't see you not picking the 2009 Yankee World Series.
You're absolutely correct. I absolutely advanced the 09 World Series. I'll never forget where I was. I was actually in bed sick that night. I probably have told this story on shows with Derek or on your show as well. But the 09 Yankees winning the World Series meant a lot to me. It was Jeter. It was Mo. A-Rod finally wins a championship. So I absolutely advanced the 2009 Yankees winning the World Series. The winner of the 8-9 match goes on to face on the 09 Yankees. Your 8 seed, Mika Zibanejad overtime goal against the Canadians in Game 5, in which the Rangers won up 3-2 in the series in the first round a couple of years ago. And the 9 seed is Eli Manning Hail Mary to Hakeem Nicks against the Packers in the 2011 divisional round game.
That's such a tough one because it's like it's one wins a game in a series, one sets them up to win where they ultimately won the Super Bowl. I'd go the Eli Hail Mary only because it's against the Packers. It was against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is like, his whole legend is built off his Hail Marys, and the fact that Eli got to do it back to him, and the fact that that team went on to win the Super Bowl, I'm hoping I'm right on that one.
You are absolutely right on that one. Of course. Because of what you said, Aaron Rodgers, they were 15-1. The Giants were 7-point underdogs in Green Bay, and they got the job done in Green Bay and Lambeau, and I was not expecting them to win that game as a Giants fan, considering that the Packers were 15-1, and I was very, very happy. Although I did think the Giants would cover the point spread in that game. I thought that game would be competitive. But absolutely, I advanced the Eli Hail Mary against the Packers because that was obviously helped lead to a Super Bowl victory. And meanwhile, that Mika overtime goal against the Canadians was a first-round game. Rangers went up 3-2. And I remember a friend of mine at the time, or a close friend of mine at the time, texted me, just saw the Rangers win, and she knows nothing about hockey. So it's just a personal memory for that Mika Zibanejad goal. But I have to advance the Eli Hail Mary because of who the opponent was and who the opposing quarterback was. 5-12. The 5-12.
And in the and in the fact that it's like the Giants that year were riding a high. You know, you came off the winning in game against the Cowboys, absolute dismantling of Atlanta in the wild card round. And it was, the points for it is, but when you go into Green Bay, Michael Vick took away the aura and mystique in 2002 of Lambeau. Like, Green Bay had never lost a home playoff game, and then Michael Vick goes in there and just destroys them. And it's like, really? Like, you're not Titletown anymore. Like, that ended. That ended on a Saturday night in January in 2002.
That's right. Michael Vick, when he was with the Falcons, right?
Yep.
I remember that. Like, I obviously was young, but, like, I just remember hearing about that game a lot through the years. The 5-12 in the Excitement region, your 5 seed is Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 5, 2015. Chris Kreider ties it. Ryan McDonough wins it against the Capitals. Rangers were down 3-1 at the series at the time. that win got them within 3-2. They ultimately came back and won that series in 7 games. And then your 12th seed, Rangers luck in the Capo Caco at the 2019 draft lottery.
Oh, it's definitely Game 5.
Yep.
You can't. Who cares about a draft pick?
Exactly. Who cares? I mean, all due respect, I probably overseeded that one because in the moment, like, I was fired up because the Rangers were not expected to be near the top of the lottery, and they were supposed to be like the 8th or the 9th pick, and then they magically moved up. So that's probably why I had that as a 12 seed. But you're right. I advanced the 5 seed. That ultimately helped them come back and beat the Capitals in that series, which ultimately led to the Derek Stepan overtime goal, which is in the improbable region, which I'm going to have somebody on and analyze with me tomorrow. But yeah, it's obviously that one, and I have to ask Derek if he was at that game, the Kreider-McDonough game, because that was a big one at Madison Square Garden, and I believe that was a Friday night as well. The 4-13, you have the 4-seed Carmelo Anthony game-tying and game-winning threes against the Bulls on Easter Sunday in 2012. Against the 13 seed, it was a regular season win for the Yankees. It was a 14-inning game against the Athletics. Walk-off, I believe it was an E3, and the Yankees won the game. And they were battling with the Orioles for the AL East at the time. And the crazy fact is that I was at that game.
Yeah, that game was at the stadium, right?
Yeah, it was a walk-off.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was definitely working up there, and I remember that night. I would go that one. I definitely picked the 14th inning walk-off.
Wow.
Game tying three and the game winning 3. Okay, but it was mellow. The fact that that game meant so much more, and just with everything that was riding on that year. Yeah, I'd have to go with the 14th inning walk-off.
Yeah, I underseeded that one. Twitter picked that over the mellow game tying and winning threes as well. I advanced the 4 seed only because the Knicks were battling for a playoff spot at the time, and they ultimately got it. They got the 7 seed, but they got bad luck because had they played the Bulls, maybe don't forget that was the year Derrick Rose got injured and whatnot. I just advanced mellow only because it was against the Chicago Bulls and Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, but it was close. I considered the upset because I was at that game, but I think I was more excited when Melo hit those big 3-pointers because I did not think the Knicks were going to win that game against the Bulls. And even though the Yankees came back from 4 runs down in the 13th inning, but yeah, you're right. I probably underseeded that 13 seed for sure.
You definitely did. And, here's the thing that you think about it. You underseeded it, yes, but that game was in September, wasn't it?
It was. And that Knicks game was in April on Easter.
So they were both, late in the season ones. But, I think when you're talking about excitement and everything, a game tie, when you have 2 shots that tie and win it, yes, that's instantaneous. That's the problem with baseball, though. If the Yankees won that game in a walk-off A-Rod moonshot, that advances. That's even higher seeded, just because of what it is.
Yeah, if that was a walk-off home run, that's a higher seed, probably.
Yeah, or if it's a line, I remember, it was the 4th of July in 2009, I think, I was at the game, it was either Melky or Cano. One of them, hit the 408 sign with a line drive to win the game.
I think it was Robinson Cano.
That's insane. When you're talking an E3, it's all right, whatever. It's the A-Rod pop up to what was the guy in the Mets?
Castillo.
Yeah.
That's in this bracket.
Whatever.
That's in another region.
Yeah, that one right there. It's but that meant more to Met fans than with the Yankee fans. It's all right, you can drop a pop up, Okay.
The only reason why that game's on there is because it's against the Mets, by the way. That's the only reason why I put that game in there. If that was against the Cincinnati Reds, that game is nowhere near the bracket. But only because it was against the Mets, and it was kind of dramatic, 09 in that season, that absolutely, I thought deserved a spot. I believe I had that as a 10 or an 11 seed, but that's obviously in either the fun or the improbable region. I don't remember which one exactly. But yeah, that was a fun memory as well.
And you really think about it, too. Like, they were facing, I think, the Sunday game, they were looking at Santana.
Yep.
And Santana just came off the no-hitter.
That was in 2012.
Actually, it was like Wait, wasn't it?
The Santana no was in 2012. It was June 1st, 2012.
Okay. All right. I felt like it was around that time, but just not the right year.
Yeah.
But like Santana was cooking that year, and then you were like looking at him and you're like, oh crap, And
yeah, Santana was good
Sunday,
in 09.
Like that killed the Mets. That killed the entire Mets season. That pop up.
Yeah, it did. That was your classic. That's so Mets moment right there. That pop up, and then the Yankees wound up winning. But I think the Mets won the next day, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the Yankees swept them that weekend.
They did. Okay, I don't remember that. Maybe I'm thinking of another series where the Yankees had a big win against the Mets and they fell apart. I remember the Yankees swept the Mets at Yankee Stadium in 2012. Johan had the no-hitter the weekend before, and then the Yankees swept them. The Mets probably should have won the game on Sunday, the getaway day. But if I'm not mistaken, Russell Martin hit the walk-off home run against the Mets in 2012.
One of those 2 years against the Mets, I remember the Yankees got absolutely demolished.
I think that was
all 3 days, got swept at the stadium. I forget if it was 12 or 13.
They got swept
I remember.
I remember that. That was 2013. The team stunk that year. It was the year that Jeter and A-Rod were injured.
It wasn't because Jeter was injured.
Yeah, they got swept. They got swept in the Subway Series, period. They lost the 2 games at Yankee Stadium, and then they lost 2 games at Citi Field. I remember Mo blew a save in Citi Field, and David Wright had the walk-off hit.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was 2013. I was not happy after that. So let's go back to this bracket. And speaking of the Yankees, this 3-14 is a battle of Yankees moments. Your 3 seed is the 2012 ALDS Game 3. Raul Ibanez game-tying and walk-off homers against the Orioles. Your 14 seed, Brett Gardner, 9th inning, 3-run shot at Wrigley Field in 2017.
It's so hard to do anything against Brett Gardner because he's my favorite Yankee right now. He's been my favorite Yankee since 2009. Or actually probably before then. He's my favorite Yankee since Tino. In the time from Tino to now, it's Gardy. So doing anything against him, especially that weekend in Wrigley, because it's Wrigley. It's the Friday afternoon game at Wrigley. That's the most desired ticket in baseball. And Gardy hits that walk-off. But Ibanez was in the playoffs, not the 3rd week of the season. Yeah.
I advanced Ibanez too. I remember they swept the Cubs at Wrigley. It was 2017. And the Saturday game, we destroyed them. I remember it was a national game on Fox. Joe Buck called it. We killed them at Wrigley. And then that Friday game and the Sunday game, the Cubs probably should have won both those games, but the Cubs blew the first game because the Gardner home run happened, and then that Sunday night game was an extra inning game. I remember Chapman blew the save at Wrigley, and then I don't remember who the reliever was on Sunday Night Baseball that came through for the Yankees in 18 innings. So you could argue the Cubs should have won 2 out of the 3 games in that series. But
that was when you realized that the Cubs were a one-shot deal. I don't think the Yankees in 2017 were as good as the Cubs. I just think the Cubs put everything into 15 and 16, and 17 was just going to be a dime show for that. And it absolutely proved stuff.
You're not wrong about the Cubs, but I looked at that series as the coming out party for the Yankees in a weird way with their current core. I remember going into that series thinking, oh, they're probably going to lose 2 out of the 3 of the Cubs. It's the Cubs. They're the reigning champs. And then the Yankees went out there and they won. They swept them, and they really it was really put themselves on the map of, oh, this team's for real. That's what I look back on that series. And then Ibanez, just remember being home and A-Rod getting pinch hit for, and then Ibanez hits that tying home run. Yankee Stadium's losing their minds, and then he walks it off in the 12th. I had to advance that because it's the postseason. It's a division rival in the Orioles. Although the Cubs and Wrigley is special, absolutely. But I had to advance Ibanez.
Yeah, and let's not forget, the Yankee Stadium went banana land because they had forgotten that A-Rod won the World Series in 2009 for them.
Exactly.
Like, they went banana land because it wasn't A-Rod.
Yeah.
If A-Rod did it, they would have been like, all right, cool. Anybody, it used to be, because I worked for Bald Vinny at the time.
Right.
I remember those nights. The euphoria coming out of that ballpark when they took A-Rod out was like, we were sitting there as real fans, like real legit fans going, why are you taking the bat out of arguably the best right-handed hitter of this generation's hand? And it's like, all right, okay. And then he hits it, all right. But like the rest of the world, like the rest of the pink hat Yankee fans, as I like to call them, core four Yankee fans, as I like to call them, they lost their mind because it wasn't A-Rod. There was a guy who used to walk around with an anybody but A-Rod shirt.
And it's funny because I'm pro A-Rod. I've always been an A-Rod supporter. I mean, there was a time where I was against him because of the PED stuff, but he won me back over as a fan. And but yeah, that Ibanez moment was just awesome though because he's just a role player at that point in his career, and like nobody expected that. Even though he came into that game hot, like he was swinging the bat very well. Like I remember he hit a game-tying home run against the Red Sox. He hit 2 home runs in that crazy 14-inning game we talked about. He hit the game-tying home run in the 13th inning of that game that I was at. It's weird. Ibanez was like quietly hot going into that game, but nobody even like realized it until like he hit those 2 home runs against the Orioles.
Well, that was like one of those things where it was like you got to have a guy who's hot going into the playoffs to win. I don't care what it is. Like, and it's always like somebody you don't expect, you know. Like, who would have thought that Raul Ibanez at that point in his career, like I said, would be the guy who, you know, gets the lighter under his rear end and just carried them. Like, you really could almost say that he was the MVP of that team.
Right.
Because without him, they don't make the playoffs. It's like 05 and 07. Without A-Rod, they don't make the playoffs. But God forbid you tell that to a Yankee fan. I'll tell you you're wrong.
Right.
9 ways on Sunday.
Absolutely. They do not make the playoffs without Alex Rodriguez either of those seasons. The 6-11 in the excitement region, your 6th seed is the Carmelo Anthony 62-point game, which broke the Madison Square Garden scoring record against the lousy Charlotte Bobcats. And your 11th seed, you probably remember this because you're a diehard Yankee fan, Carlos Beltran pinch hit home run 2015 in Toronto against the Blue Jays in a game where the Blue Jays had just acquired David Price. It was David Price's first home start. It was against the Yankees. David Price pitched well in that game, but the bullpen for Toronto blew it, and the Yankees came from behind and won that game.
You break Michael Jordan's record at the Garden, you move on. That's the way I look at it.
It was Kobe Bryant's record.
Has Michael Jordan's name attached to it? It's yours.
It was Kobe's at the time, not MJ's.
Oh.
Because remember,
Kobe
was 61. Kobe broke Jordan's record, and then Melo broke that.
Didn't Jordan have 63 at the Garden?
Jordan had 60.
Why did he have 63?
I think that was maybe in Chicago or in another arena. Maybe it was Boston.
Yeah, it was Boston.
He had 63 in Boston. You're thinking of the wrong Garden.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the Boston Garden.
Right.
But yeah, I'm advancing Melo.
The real Garden, yeah, you're right.
I'm advancing Melo as well because it was a Nick that actually broke the scoring record and meant a lot to me at the time as a fan. And the Carlos Beltran homer was a regular season game in a year where the Yankees were surprised. Like, I didn't expect them to be good that year. I mean, they were winning the division most of the season, and then Toronto gets David Price and Trey Tulowitzki, and they overtake the Yankees, and the Yankees lose in the wild card game to Houston at home.
Yeah, that's what it is, though. It's, at that point, it's just, kind of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly.
It was like a midweek game. Like, I don't even remember the game. That's the sad part of it.
Yeah, it was a Friday night game in Toronto. I just remember that. And Michael Kay lost his mind on the S Network. And then John Sterling lost his mind on the radio.
What else is that?
Yeah. They're 7-10 in the excitement region. The Kyle Williams fumble, which set up the Lawrence Tynes field goal to advance the Giants to Super Bowl 46 as your 7. Your 10 seed, the 2007 Giants had a big comeback in Washington, D.C. to get their first win of the season. They were 0-2, and they're facing 0-3, and they came from behind and won that game, and that was the year that obviously they won Super Bowl 42.
Yeah, bring that one up, don't you? Why do Giant fans always have to bring up the Patriots Super Bowl? It's got to be the Kyle Williams fumble.
I advanced the Kyle Williams fumble as well.
That was before the rules, and that was with the new rules. I mean, that was such a crappy football game, though.
It was. Because there was like no offense in that game, literally.
Yeah, that game was wasn't it the mud game?
It was the 17-14 final. I just remember that.
Yeah, and I think that game was played in rain and stuff. Yeah, that was the mud game.
Yeah, it was a muddy game in San Francisco at Candlestick. I advanced Kyle Williams as well because it was in the NFC title game. And there's always the argument with 49ers fans, if this didn't happen, then the 49ers would have went to the Super Bowl. I mean, you don't really know that for sure. But yeah, Kyle Williams fumble. I'm advancing.
It wasn't for Brett Favre throwing an interception and Kyle Williams fumbling, the Patriots have 8 Super Bowls.
But yeah.
There's no way the Patriots were losing to the Packers, and there's definitely no way they were losing to the Niners. Those two teams were just... The Giants had the benefit those 2 years of playing the Patriots. And...
it's just a good matchup.
Whether it was losing Gronk or Brady playing on a broken ankle in the first game in Super Bowl 42. I mean, he's not Ben Roethlisberger who could play coming out of it, but Brady's kind of hoping he still have Bledsoe. But no, you have to move that one on. That legitimately set up the game winner.
Yep, and then it's funny because the Giants winning the 2 Super Bowls are 1 seeds in other regions, and I just realized, oh, wait a minute, you're a Patriots fan, but I happened to pick this region for you out of by chance, not by on purpose.
Look, and I'm not one of those butthurt fans. I completely understand. We had, you really think about it as a Patriots fan, we've had 27 years with 2 starting quarterbacks.
That's amazing.
27 years. We've had 3 head coaches. That's Pittsburgh Steelers type stuff.
Yep.
If you really think about, just the run. We've had 2 kickers. We legitimately have had 2 kickers for 25 years. We've had 2 quarterbacks for 25 years. We've had, really, if you think about it, 3 coaches in 27 years.
Yep, exactly.
I can't complain. Yes, losing the first one to the Giants, I would sell my soul for it. That one, I'll trade them all back to go 19-0. The other one against the Giants, I bet on the Giants to win that game because without Gronk in that game, we were screwed. Because Gronk made that offense go. As it wasn't for Welker dropping the pass, we win that game. So the Giants beat them in both games. And Steve Weatherford should still be the Super Bowl 46 MVP. He got screwed on that one. Because who would ever think you give it to a punter? But if it wasn't for Weatherford that game, oh boy.
Weatherford was very underrated. I agree with you there. The last round of 64 match in the bracket of glory, you have the 2 seed Derek Jeter 3,000th hit against the 15 seed Jason Kidd 4-point play in Brooklyn in 2012 in a game where the Knicks came from behind to beat the Nets in Brooklyn. It was their first game in Brooklyn, or I'm sorry, second game in Brooklyn, and Jason Kidd hits gets the 4-point play. But I think it's obvious who we're advancing here.
Is Jeter's hit to break Lou Gehrig's Yankee hit record in any of this?
No, I didn't put that one in there because the Yankees had lost that game. All right, no, that was the all-time hits. Yeah, Yankee all-time hit leader. I didn't include that because the Yankees lost the game.
Is that Swisher walk-off again on like the first home game after Steinbrenner died in this bracket?
Oh no, that's not. That's an honorable mention. I should have put that one in.
If you had a Jason Kidd Nets, like Jason Kidd with the Nets on here, I would pick Jason Kidd all day. I don't even remember the Jason. I literally was looking at him like, wait, was he with the Nets then?
Yeah, he was with the Knicks for one season. He hits a game or go-ahead 3-pointer and the foul for a 4-point play. It was just a fun moment for me at the time, but I forgot about Swisher's walk-off at the day after the boss died. That probably should have been in there. Just like in my bracket of pain, the Joe Torre resignation should have been in there. That should have been, the Nick Swisher walk-off should have been in there as well.
Well, there's other stuff behind the Torre resignation. But, I mean, look, 3,000 with an exclamation point. At that point, he was only the second player in history to get his 3,000th hit as a homer behind Wade Boggs. I mean, and the fact that was a Price who the Yankees really at that point couldn't touch. Like, David Price owned the Yankees then. Now it's like he throws up spinners. But Price was still, I mean, that was like Price's
right.
Fourth season in the bigs. He was untouchable. The fact that he grooved them a fastball in the 3-2 pitch, I mean, that was as great as Michael Strahan's second Brett Favre for the all-time sack record.
Yeah, we know about that one. So many people have talked about that on my podcast before. But yeah, Jeter 3,000th hit for sure.
I'll give you one. I had met David Price a couple years later down in Tampa, and I flat out just looked at him and I said, "How do you groove him a fastball 3?" He goes, "I don't know." And think about it, like that could have been the night before, but Friday night got rained out, so I pushed it back to Saturday, which made it all the better because it was a Saturday 1:00 game. I was like, the 1:00 games at the stadium are like I said, the Wrigley Field 1:00 game on Friday. Like 1:00 Saturday games at Yankee Stadium are a different animal.
Yep. And then 2 of them I've been to were all-time classics, or for a regular season standpoint. One of them we talked about on the show today with the 14-inning game against Oakland. Another one I went to was Aaron Judge and Tyler Austin going back-to-back in their first big league games on an ungodly hot Saturday afternoon.
That was the other problem with Saturday afternoons there. I do remember working for Baldini in those days, and I could not tell you how many T-shirts you would go through sitting out there, and how many oh man, no. Look, Jeter's. I do not like Derek Jeter, but that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And the fact that A-Rod did it too, just completely chops him in the rear end, and I love every part of that too. The fact that A-Rod got it, and it was off Verlander, and it was a piss missile.
The fact that it was off of Verlander was awesome.
That Jeter doesn't hit. That ball was launched.
Yeah, that's
Jeter never hits the ball, hits the back of the bullpen.
Yeah,
that was go down the line. Jeter sneaks him into the right field seat.
Yep.
That thing was like Giambi-ish.
Yeah.
That was an A-Rod homer.
Yeah, that Jeter 3,000th hit was a long home run. And it's funny because I actually thought to myself, watch Jeter's 3,000th hit be a home run. And I was right. Like, I called it that it was going to be a home run. And I was right about A-Rod, too. I said that was going to be a home run, too, and I was right. It's always more fun when the 3,000th hit's a home run. I just think that's more fun, because then everybody gets to greet you at home plate.
Yeah, I want the 3,000 hit to be clean. You know, I don't want, like, you know, a bounding ball that sneaks its way through the infield. You know, put something behind it, especially because, you know, like Jeter when he went for that hit like when he went for the Yankee hit record.
Right.
You know, that thing was like, he had a chance on Monday. He didn't get till Friday. Like, he was grinding that whole week.
Yeah, that Jeter hit that broke the Lou Gehrig, that was a Jeterian single to right field.
It was. But the thing is with that was, at least it was a clean hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you didn't have to, like, take, like, it wasn't like Galarraga losing the perfect game where it was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
No, that was Derek Jeter to a T. That was, you know, flip it over to first baseman's head on a solid line drive. That guy's probably the best opposite field hitter I've ever seen.
Yeah, Derek Jeter is one of the best opposite field guys that I've ever seen as well. Now let's go to the round of 32 here. We got to be a little quicker with the pace because we're a half hour into the show. So 8-9 versus the 116. So you have 1 versus 9. The Yankees winning in 09 is your 1 seed. Your 9 seed, Eli to Hakeem Nicks, Hail Mary.
Can I just do like what I do when I fill out my college basketball bracket? We're going to put the 1 all the way to the Final Four.
That's fine.
Just, yeah, like that one I don't even have to think twice about.
That's what I did for pretty much 3 of the 4 regions for this bracket of glory because of really, is there any doubt? Because it's 3 championships for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then your 5-4 is the 2015 Game 5 of Kreider and McDonough, and then your 4 seed. Or no, you had the crazy game against Oakland.
Yeah. But I would still move Game 5.
Yeah, I would. Who did I move? Did I move Melo or Game 5? I think I moved Game 5 because it was a playoffs. Let's see. Yes, I did move Game 5. I was just double checking to make sure. Yes, I did move Game 5 as well because it was playoffs, and then the Melo shots were in the regular season. That was the difference maker for me. 3-6, the Melo 62-point game against Raul Ibanez. And Raul's your 3 and Melo's the 6.
Ibanez.
I'm going to Ibanez as well. We talked about it earlier with A-Rod getting pinch hit for him, the stadium losing its mind. And then the 7-2, Kyle Williams fumbles your 7, and then the 2 is Jeter 3000.
Yeah, Kyle Williams, because it led to a championship.
Ooh, that's interesting. I went with Jeter because Jeter was my childhood favorite athlete. Him and Eli Manning were like right neck and neck, but I'd give a slight edge to Jeter, even though I had, obviously advanced Eli Manning further in this bracket than Derek Jeter in a lot of scenarios. So Jeter, I'm advancing over Kyle Williams, all due respect, even though the one led to a championship. I mean, 3,000 history with an exclamation point for your childhood favorite baseball player. So I'm going to go with the captain. The Sweet 16. We said to advance the Yankees all the way, so we don't have to go on that side. The 3-2 is for you it's 3-7. You have Ibanez as your 3, and then Kyle Williams as your 7.
It's still Kyle Williams.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, that's true.
It led to a championship. Ibanez's home run was nice, but they got destroyed in the next round.
They did get destroyed in the next round, and here's a what if for you. I think that series is either longer or the Yankees win the ALCS if Derek Jeter doesn't twist his ankle.
If Swisher doesn't break his ankle, yeah?
Yeah, if Swisher doesn't break his ankle, that's true.
I don't know.
I don't think they would have been swept. I think they would have.
They were just overmatched in that series. Like
pitching-wise, they were.
That Tigers team was really good.
The Tigers were very good, absolutely.
What Jeter? When did Jeter go? Game 2 of that series?
Game 1. It was a Saturday night game.
That was Game 2. Game 1 was Friday night. It was Friday early. It was the early game on Friday. I remember.
Really? It was a Friday.
2. Yeah.
Or maybe it was Game 2 where Jeter got injured.
Yeah, because they won on, Thursday night. Okay. They won, Thursday afternoon. I forget how that series
I thought it was a Friday afternoon. The Baltimore CC complete game, I thought was a Friday afternoon, late afternoon Friday. And then Saturday night was Game 1. That's what I thought.
You know what? All I remember was it was a quick turnaround.
It was.
That's all I remember was you played Game 5. Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. You might be right. I may be crazy.
That's what I thought it was, because Game 5 I watched a little bit of it because I had my homecoming game that night. I was still in high school at the time. I had my homecoming game that night, and then I watched the first couple innings at home, and it was still 0-0, and I said, I can't miss the homecoming game because I was in high school at the time. And then I just followed it on my phone. I was just confident that the Yankees were going to win because CC Sabathia was their ace at the time and in his prime, and I just trusted him against the Orioles team that I really didn't like all that much. And then the Yankees, I think, won that game 4-0. Or 4-1, maybe. I don't remember. I know it was a low-scoring game, and the Yankees won, and CC pitched a complete game in that Game 5.
You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, it was 5:07 stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Friday night.
Yeah, 5:07, because that makes sense, because I remember I watched the first couple innings at home, and then I went to my school's homecoming game. And then there was another Game 5 that night, and I remember watching that other Game 5 when I got home. I don't remember who the opponent or the two teams were. Maybe it was Cardinals-Nationals or the Tigers, ironically enough. Maybe. I don't remember, but I just remember there was another game on after the Yankees game. I remember watching that as well. So we're advancing you're advancing Kyle Williams. That's nuts. I'm advancing between Jeter and Raul Ibanez. I would advance Jeter, and then like we said before, Yankees 09 goes to the Final Four because that's too much of a heavyweight.
Yeah.
That is way too much of a heavyweight. We talked about it throughout the show, how we had a lot of walk-off wins that year, including the Castillo drop, including the Robinson Cano walk-off homer. Melky Cabrera had a walk-off homer. And then in another region, I have the A-Rod and Mark Teixeira game-tying and game-winning home runs against the Twins as well. A lot of good memories from that season. A couple quick hits before you go. Big Ten and the ACC going to conference play for college football. You were the one that told me that you thought that the Big Ten was going to cancel, but it looks like they're going to just conference games, which isn't a bad idea. What do you make of that news?
I think that's check. I actually just said that on Twitter. I think check with them August 1st to see what they're really going to do. They have to, for television-wise and their television partners, be saying that. I don't think there's a chance, and I think it's going to be too hard, and I said this on my show, and I said to you too on that. When you start looking at this whole thing with college football and all these other sports, if you're just going to play conference schedules, right, you got to guarantee that the students are on campus. Students are going to class because Gene Smith, right? He's the AD at OSU.
Yep.
He is one of the guys who is firmly behind if there's no students here, if there's no fans in the stands, and if it's not safe for them, how is it safe for kids to be playing football? That's what he said publicly. Privately, from what I've been able to gather from people I know that are big shots in the Big Ten, is that he said, we got this litigation that will come if we don't consider these kids student human athletes, which they are.
Right.
If they're not going to be students, then there's no sense to play. I don't think they play. I think. And what's the ACC doing with Notre Dame? Is Notre Dame now going to have to play in a conference?
Notre Dame games are staying on the schedule according to the reports out there that they're doing conference only plus Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, Notre Dame's in that conference. They have to, for the alignment for the other sports, Notre Dame has to play a certain amount of games in that ACC.
Right. Yeah, Notre Dame I consider ACC sort of for football.
I think as we sit here on July 9th, I think it's just too soon to call anything when it comes to September.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it depends on the cases and what states those cases are decreased by them and whatnot. So I still think it's unknown. I think it's a safer bet that the professional sports are back rather than college. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's absolutely, because you know what? The professional athletes have built in, there's stuff in there built in. Like if those guys get hurt, they go and work this time. Like when baseball players go on the 15-day DL, they get paid as if they get paid with no tax. Like they're paid as if they got hurt at work. So college football players don't have, college athletes don't have that umbrella like they do in the professional sports. So no, I think you definitely are going to see professional sports back. When? I don't know which comes first. I think this is like the chicken and the egg thing now. I think as a society we don't get back to normal until January, because that's when we'll have vaccines, and I think we'll have a better handle on this. But it's just nice to put on Facebook Live and see the Red Sox playing an interest-rate game today.
Yeah, it is very nice to see sports be back. And then Yankees were playing inter-squad on Yes the last couple nights, so that was interesting. So we talked about the sports and how we think that it's more likely the pro sports will be played more so than the college. One last thing I want to talk to you. You're a Patriots fan. What do you make of them signing Cam Newton?
I think for Cam Newton, it is the best deal he was getting because of the timeline of when Carolina cut him. I don't make anything about the contract he signed, because he knew what he was getting himself into signing in New England. They have no cap room this year. Next year, they have a ton of cap room. So if he plays well, if they play this year, if he plays well, he could sign a big deal next year with them. If it works, it works. I mean, nobody thought Randy Moss was going to work there, and that worked out just fine. There's guys that come to New England where it's like, I can't believe this guy's going there, and it works out, leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I think it makes. I still think they were going to be a playoff game with Jared Stidham. I'm even more that I think they're going to be a playoff.
I think it's more likely. Wow. I didn't think they had a real shot to win the division with Jared Stidham. Now it's Cam Newton, but to me, the question with Cam Newton is, does he stay healthy? If Cam Newton is healthy, they can absolutely win that division and can absolutely be the third best team in the AFC behind behind Baltimore and Kansas City.
Well, I think Baltimore is going to take a step back.
So do I.
I think
from a win totals perspective, yes.
Yeah, I don't think that. Look, if Julian Edelman doesn't fumble against them, the Patriots win that game, and the Patriots get a bye, and everything's changed. If my Aunt Paul should be my uncle, but you just look at that whole situation where it's teams are going to figure out, now that they have a full year of seeing Lamar Jackson, unless he becomes a great thrower of the football, teams are just going to not respect them throwing the ball. If you can load up 9 in the box to stop them, this is the part of this whole thing that hurts them, is that, they kind of need the pieces they brought in, they're going to need, field time, and they haven't had it.
Yeah, and the other thing with the Ravens is that I think their division's better. Pittsburgh gets Ben Roethlisberger back. The Browns should be better with an improved offensive line. And now the Bengals have a potential franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. I still think the Ravens are the favorites and should be the favorites to win that division. But that division is a lot harder than people I think are giving credit for because the bounce back potential with the Browns and the Steelers.
Well, let's not forget. I mean, they played the Steelers last year with Ducky Hodges and Mason Rudolph, quarterback.
Right.
Ben's a different animal.
Yeah, and I have respect for Ben.
And the Bengals last year were sucking for Burrow, and the Browns were just a mess with Freddie Kitchen. The Browns believe their hype. They're not going to believe their hype this year. Baltimore kind of took everybody by, surprise last year, and it didn't help that they played the AFC East and had 2 gimmies.
Right.
And the Dolphins. They played the Dolphins week 1. The Dolphins were a gimme then. I wish New England had played the Dolphins twice in the first 7 weeks of the season like they played the Jets. I would have loved to play the Jets at the end of the year and not that Monday night game which led to the Ghost Whisperer.
Yeah.
Give us the Dolphins twice. We would have taken care of them. And then there's not that game at the end of the season that costs them the bye. And then they get the bye. It's just the way everything works,
Right. And then the Titans got fluky hot. I think the Titans are another team in the AFC I think is taking a monster step back. I think that there's a chance the Titans finish 6-10 rather than win the AFC South.
Well, and let's not forget, their division got better too. Philly Rib. I love Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett got hurt because T.Y. Hilton got hurt. When Jacoby got hurt, the Colts, who I thought were going to win that division, and I was lucky to, when Andrew Luck retired, I put that bet on them for their over and wins because their over dropped.
Yep.
So, yeah, they got the over for you, and they looked really good, and I was like, man, they got a chance here. And then T.Y. got hurt, and Jacoby got hurt, and, Brian Hoyer is a great backup when he doesn't have to play.
Exactly. He's a good backup when he doesn't have to play. All right, George, so it was a great time having you on this show today, and I'll certainly have you on again. Hopefully, when sports are really back into it, we'll probably have you on before the football season. Well, maybe we'll do some over-unders and stuff for football, because you're pretty smart when it comes to gambling as well.
I'm not an idiot. I make a lot of money gambling.
Yeah, I could make some good amounts sometimes.
Yeah.
I made a good amount. I'll tell you quickly before we go. I made a good amount the other day. I had Dustin Johnson for the Travelers in golf, and I won a good amount of money on Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I had Bryson.
Oh, you should have had Bryson last week, but I thought Bryson was overvalued last week.
No, I didn't think he was. I thought he was. He's a monster right now, and the Travelers definitely plays into, keeping regulations, but Tiger doesn't play it. Tiger's a scrambler. Tiger's hitting fairways. Next week at the Memorial, Tiger's going to be, or whenever they play the Memorial.
Yeah.
I'd almost put money on Tiger.
I want to put money on Tiger too, but we'll see. It depends on what the number is. I like to bet on numbers rather than betting from the heart. And by the way, when I had Dan on before, his region, the unforgettable region, that 11 seed was Tiger winning the Masters. Tiger was my favorite golfer growing up. Now my favorite golfer is Brooks Koepka, and now I'm probably going to feel like an idiot if he wins because I love betting on Brooks Koepka, and he's now my favorite golfer. As much as I love Tiger, he's my childhood golf favorite figure, but Koepka's my guy now, and I think that Bryson DeChambeau's on the come, although I think that he has a little bit of enemy to him. But I actually think that Rory McIlroy's the best golfer right now, by the way.
Yeah, I look at DeChambeau as one of those guys where he's very misunderstood. I saw that stuff he did with Barstool last year, and I was like, wow, that guy's really cool. Koepka's a dink, but he plays good golf, I'd be hard-pressed to put it. Tiger would have been that 11 seed for me. If I had that bracket, Tiger moved up.
Yeah, Dan thought I'd go with Tiger.
Yeah, that whole thing, you got to realize, everybody that doesn't watch golf watched that back nine on Sunday just because Tiger was there.
Right.
How many people in 2008 watched him against Rocco? Like, when you got Tiger and Tiger's on, there's nobody better to watch because Tiger mind asks everybody.
Right. Tiger's must-see TV, and he'll be must-see TV next weekend, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, now I seriously gotta go. So it was fun to have you on. We'll do some gambling stuff on the show, and I'm looking forward to what's brewing tomorrow night.
Yeah, what's brewing tomorrow night? And it's not on Derek's network. It's on my network. Derek just invites everyone.
Yeah, that's very true. It's on your network. What's Brewing's on your network. What's Brewing should be a good show tomorrow night with the crew.
Yeah, Friday Night Free for All, and we're actually getting sports to talk about, like baseball, putting out a schedule for next year.
Yep, you guys should have sports to talk about. So, have a good day.
You too, bud. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.